Hello. Hi, Stephen. Hi, Charles. Hi, Crystal.
Hey, honey.
Hi. We have people joining. We give a few extra minutes, but it's good to see you all. Oh,
You too.
there you are on the video.
I've
Yay.
just been in editing hell. By the way, Charles, where's your chapter?
I don't think
And he's
he
ignoring me.
heard you. I don't think.
Yeah, he's
Um,
ignoring me.
but um,
Yeah.
so this is an open panel for the episode 8, which is Beyond Thriving, following the life force.
Marissa said she'll be here today.
All right, that's cool. Yes, I mean, people will be coming. With Anna will join as well, but I'm just going to make sure
Ah,
we
oh.
have some fundamentals. So I would like to ask you what thriving means personally for you. I Google it in Latin. I'm just going to just mute you for a second for the sound, Krista. Okay, you can mute us. Perfect. I will start again. So thriving in Latin means blossom. And I would like to ask you if you have any personal stories or any, you know, things you want to share, what thriving personally means for you. And if you want, I can start it. Oh no, we have Steven. Okay, go ahead, Steve.
Well, I'm happy to go after you. For me, this concept of thriving is it's attaching to your authenticity. We have this life, and this life is quite precious and beautiful. And even if it includes a little bit of suffering and pain, um, there's no amount of money that we could trade for this concept of being alive. And so we have this opportunity to live, to experience, and to grow. And I think thriving is when you turn the difficulties into nourishment, into something that propels you into living life intentionally. And so if we're talking about thriving, it's embracing life in all of its detail, right? It's not always easy. It's not always something um, that you like, but it has significance. It has growth and it has meaning. And so what I found is the most influential people, the ones that truly thrive, have been through difficulty. They've been through some of the darkest times, and they've chosen to change that into a way of meaning. And they've actually chosen to live instead of being afraid of dying. And so to me, I think that's the biggest thing. If we're talking about thriving, it's embracing your life and it's taking that intentional control of your life to live it the way that you wish. And it doesn't mean that you need to be perfect. It doesn't mean that you need to know that you have the answer. It just means that you're stepping forward and you're an active participant in your life. So that's all I had on that.
Thank you so much, Steven, for sharing that. Hello to Asta and Anna. Thank you, ladies, for joining. From Australia and Ireland, I think. The whole world here.
Hello, hello.
And what you said, Stephen, made me, I wanted to highlight that thriving, it can be so powerful, especially when we go through some dark shadow moments in our life, and then somehow we find out a way to grow from it and live more authentically. So yeah, that was very powerful what you shared. And so we are talking about thriving and what thriving means, ladies, for you personally, and if if you are open to share in your life what thriving, and if any moments when you actually took that jump when you were living in fear, but then you decided, okay, this is enough. I'm no longer holding back. I'm going for it. you can go with the life force.
Which one, honey?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
yes. Hello, good to hear your
Hello,
voice.
hello. How are you? For me, it's bigger striving. So you are just said the word actually, because that's exactly what I want to say. And it's just like you already hear me. Live not from fear, but from love. From love what I want to do. Striving is mean I done my lessons and I'm not living there anymore. I got my wheel and I'm driving and driving to the front, to my wonderful future. And because I got those messages from my like life, what I had, my experiences, now I know like I'm smarter. I am, grow up because, it still could happen. But I kind of know how it will be. If it will be, I'm okay with this, not with fear. Like, oh my God, I'm afraid to move on now. That's not driving. Driving is like, okay, thank you for this message, for this lesson, whatever we want to call it, for this experience. That's my soul wanted, must be. And because of that, I am where I am now. And because of that, now I want to thrive. And if I will be able to, for someone to help to avoid that, wonderful. If not, that's mean we all go our own journeys. And if I will be cross somebody's lines, maybe I was needed there to be. So thriving for me is really to living from love, not from desperate, terrifying. Oh my God, if it'll be happen again. Oh my God, if I do this. Oh my God, it's all this fear, fear, fear. Even going to work. Oh my God, I need to pay bills. I don't care. I have my own business. That. But it was not easy to open. But I wanted to thrive. I want my name. I want to help. I want to do. It's not about fear living. And I think whatever you switch on, TV or whatever, it's always, oh, this is what's happened. This is what's happened. Oh my God. And keeping us in that fear and small world. So for me, I don't want to listen to any news. I want to know what's happening, but I don't want to feel that fear. And if I just hear it's coming, I'm like, well, okay, done. Okay, let's go dance, like switch it off completely, because we could stuck in that negativity. And then we attract negativity. And then you wonder, why is this happening to me? Well, maybe don't do that. Maybe live from love. How can I serve? How can I do? How can I create? How can I dance and, laugh? Switch on comedy if I want to. Really live from love and joy and avoid fear. And even just to believe in love again, that's already a big step. Thank you. And I want to say happy 12/12/2024. Today's a huge portal, planets, Egypt, everything. Oh my God. So today what we're sending in the universe, it's even stronger and bigger. So let's be in love, not in fear. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Thank you so much, Asta. Thank you. I didn't know that today is that special day. So, yes. So thank you for letting me know.
Yeah, I just back actually from Egypt, traveling with my mind, with my soul, and I done a lot of updates and upgrades and working and everything. So that's what I do, remote viewing and remote healing and all that. So we was doing a lot of activation now in Egypt. So that's why I'm like a little bit, I'm very much, oh, it's beautiful, beautiful. So it was amazing.
And I also want to frame your strength, because it takes a lot of, bravery to actually do the things which you feel in your intuition, this is what's next. I mean, it takes a lot of strength. It does. Like, I feel like we all, all the 8 billion people, over 8 billion people have intuition, and they hear this intuition voice, like, maybe start this, maybe go back to this, but then, only a few actually go for it. So, So before we go to the next question around like what helped you to find that strength and face the challenges, I see we have Anna. Anna, what would you like to share around thriving and your own personal discovery around what it means for you? The button doesn't work.
Yes,
It works.
yes, it's working now. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say hello. It's good morning in New South Wales, Australia. And I just wanted to share a little bit about what happened when I started thriving. Really was the beginning, you know, they always say better the devil you know than the devil you don't, but I don't believe in that at all. You know, that's an old saying that keeps people stuck, doesn't it? And I remember being in a situation, and you know, you always hear when you read a lot of people that have had success stories in life, in business, that they always took risks and nothing ever changed until they took those risks. And they didn't know what was going to happen, but they just knew they had to take that step. And that time came. I mean, I was in an abusive upbringing. I was very lucky to have a beautiful mother, which saved my life really, because having that one stable person in the family saved me. But I still had to get out. She chose to stay, and I couldn't save her. But I knew I could save myself. And there came a time, I was quite young, and I had enough money to take a trip overseas. And I only had enough money for 1 month, but I ended up staying 10 months in a country, in an Asian country where I knew nobody. But I discovered myself. It was a leap of faith. And I ended up working over there. I got great work teaching English at the Hungarian consulate. You know, I met some beautiful people who opened up their homes to me, and, you know, I had faith, and everything unfolded. And what that showed me was the courage, having the courage to take a step, not knowing where it's going to lead, not knowing if I was going to have enough money for food. You know, all of those things happened, but it was character building, and it built so much strength that when I went back home, because I had to get back home, my mother was begging me to go back home. My sister was getting married, and I didn't really want to go back because my father was abusive. But when I went back, I only could stay a little while before I had the strength to leave again. And making that leap again was the beginning of my life, and thriving every step, every time I took those leap of faiths, I always thrived. And I remember I only had $800 in my wallet. I had sold a massage bed, which gave me $800, and I left the place of my birthplace and moved from Victoria to New South Wales, which is 10 hours away by car. And I knew that I had to leave the entire village, because if you have someone in the background poisoning your credibility, your name, and you don't even know it's happening, but because as I look back, I realized that I was the tall poppy, and I didn't know that my reputation was being damaged, because you're just moving forward in life, minding your own business. And all of a sudden, you just know that you have to leave. Something in my heart said, you've got to leave this place, because I wasn't being allowed to move forward because of all the talk, right? It takes a village to raise a child, but can take a village to destroy one, right? So if you've got somebody in your family that's talking in the community about you, you don't even know, and they're saying some pretty horrible things about you, which you don't even know, all of them untrue. And of course, when I left, everything changed. Every time I left that situation, I was thriving every single time. Gave me so much courage to keep going. And my life changed for the better in every single way. And I think you have to follow your intuition and follow your heart, as Asta said, and take the leap of faith, because when you have that belief that you're going to succeed no matter what, you will find the way. And I think that spiritually we have a lot of help. And I think if we get ourselves in those situations where we believe, you know, the safety net was my mother, and I left the safety net to start my own life with very little. And I took a leap of faith, and it worked. I got work. I was able to find a place to stay and pay rent. And, you know, I started to do it on my own. And though I was young and I hadn't been educated how to do it on my own, I worked it out. And, you know, in general, people are good. And if they're not, if you don't feel good around them, you leave them. So you end up working out very quickly who are supportive of you and who are not. Even in my new environment, the thriving was so incredible that I realized in that moment that that's, no matter what situation, no matter how comfortable I get, if it's not working, I have to take that leap of faith. And that took a lot of courage. And I just knew I had to throw myself in. But life just changed. The thriving was constant. And ever since I left that abusive world, it changed for me in every single way positive. And from that experience, you've come out the other end, and you learn, in that time, you learn about why it all happened. And then once you work it out, you can then give back. And that's basically where I'm at now. And through that, I met a beautiful, loving husband. And, you know, but I had to be away. And every time I go back to a family event, I got to hear all the things that were being said about 30 years later. And I was able to correct it, provide evidence, and I closed the talk and could, you know, but it took 30 years because I had to be strong enough and had to have the right knowledge to be able to handle it without being angry or aggressive or anything like that. It was just dealing with things with, no, that's not true, and here's the truth. And I could clear my name, but it took 30 years. but it was amazing. The thriving has never stopped because I learnt how to take that leap of faith. So that's what that's my story about thriving.
Well done. Well done. If I may just say one thing, I call this crab syndrome. When crab, you know, like water feature, when he is growing and his shell becomes too small, but his body is big, we have to drop the old shelf and get into the ocean without even knowing about like the, and that's exactly what happens. When I notice this, a lot of like souls, when our soul want more and we expanding and the shelf is too small, drop it off. If it's not supporting you, if you're not fitting anymore in it, if you want a lot but they trapping you, leave it. You will get a new shelf and you got it, your new place, new environment, new people, and then you're comfortable. And that way is the biggest kind of fear to leave that comfortable little shelf. But there's many amazing places and the huge open ocean for us waiting. Well done, Anne. Thank you for sharing. Beautiful.
Wow. Yeah, that's so powerful journey. And you know, it all makes me think about our relationship with fear. Oh, that's actually where my next question goes to. If somebody is watching us right now on the replay later on, for example, and when you are in an abusive relationship or in an abusive cycle, you are many times uncomfortable, unsafe. And when you get to this place when you're safe and comfortable, it feels like, okay, I'm going to hold on because I've been living in danger for the last so and so many years. But then they have the intuition whispering this and that. So do you have any advices or any moments in your life where you felt like, wow, like feeling comfortable is something what I've been waiting for in a way, like I've been living in danger or like these abusive cycles for so many years, and now some people settle for living comfortable, and versus other people are like, okay, like you, Anna, mentioned, no matter how comfortable it gets, when I get this whisper in my heart to do something, I go for it. And I wonder if you have any advices or any insights on taking that bold step, like what helps you personally to go for it, because it's it is there is no word for it. I feel like you can say it's challenging, it's hard, it is. It feels like, what if what I choose is I end up in a worse situation and then I cannot come back to where I was. Changing your job, changing your relationship, changing the place where you live. It would be like, oh my, you sometimes tend to imagine the worst scenario, or like, what if I don't get where I imagine I would be? But then I'm thinking always about like the journey, right? And that like we are doing those steps to be the best version of ourselves, not necessarily to get anywhere. But yeah, I'm just curious. I see your hand, yeah, I see your eyes too shining a little more. Steven, you unmuted yourself. I saw that. Yeah.
So what was interesting for me, and I think this is a transformative moment for many people in the world, is we have a place of perception, right? So we have our egoic perception, and when I call it the egoic, the egoic state of, perception, it's everything that we believe to be true. It's our past experiences. It's our human fragility, right? How we're afraid to die as an egoic entity. But we also have, I do believe that we have another component of ourselves, which is this life force, whether you call it, there's so many different names for it. They call it prana in Hinduism. They call it chi, if you're talking about Chinese, or like ki, if you're talking about Japanese, Holy Spirit, if you're talking about Christianity. Even like the Jewish and the Hebrew, I think it's called Roch, or if I have that pronounced properly, but even like Latin, the anima. And so with all of this, with all of these different cultures and traditions, there's this sense of a different perspective, right? A higher energy or a different energy. And it's that universal energy. And so my experience with that is this, and I just wanted to share my experience. So I was in a moment where my thoughts linked into emotion that create this self-reinforcing catastrophizing. I mean, I thought my life was over, and I thought that I didn't know how I would recover from where things were. And the worst part is it was unfair, it was unjust, it was based in lies and falsehoods. And what played into this was I had this critical thought loop that was always telling me that I was at fault, I was wrong, I was less than, I wasn't worthy of love, I wasn't good enough. And so when you have that thought loop, when you have those things going on, we have this life force within us that we can invite in. And when I got into this place where my thoughts and my emotions were building into this loop of catastrophizing, thinking that I could not recover from where my life was at the moment, I just I had to fire. I had to give a holiday to that critical thought loop. And so when I gave the holiday, I actually imagined, sending the timeout, this critical thought that was always telling me how worthless I was, how bad I was. And I wanted to bring in this life force, this love and light, but I didn't feel like I was good enough. And yeah, the way that I imagined it, I imagined my core, when I took my core identity and set it off to the side, I imagined that I still wasn't good enough, that because of the wounding that I had, that mirrored surface, that cylinder of, that shiny cylinder, it was lacking silver. It had places where there was imperfections. And so I remember just sitting there and just polishing that mirror and not trying to say that I'm perfect, but saying, I'm good enough, and I'm going to polish that mirror and make it good enough. And then I brought love and light into that space. And what I wanted to share with you, the moment that I did that, the thing that was astounding to me, the thing that shocked me was I expected this love and light to judge that critical voice, to say, oh, that was unfair. That was so unkind. But there was no judgment. There was complete acceptance, saying, it's okay. As you are is okay. There's nothing wrong with that critical voice. There's nothing wrong with any of it. You are good enough as you are. And when you bring that sense of power into your life, there was something that I thought that just shocked me as well, which was I expected that critical voice to resist this life force that came in that was controlling my life. There was no resistance because your ego is afraid of dying, and it recognizes that life force, this part of us, that energy, as being dominant, as being in control. And the thing is once brought that in as my core focus, my self-confidence changed, right? My ability to speak changed. The way that I engaged with others changed. I mean, so much about who I was changed. I quit being not good enough, and I realized we are amazing as we are. And yes, we're learning, we get better with practice and all of the other stuff. But the most beautiful thing about this life experience is we're experiencing it. And so that was when I engaged with that life force, it shocked me how non-judgmental, how accepting, how positive, and how strong that authority is. And we all have that within us, but we just have to invite it in. So that's all I had.
And thank you, Stephen, for being so vulnerable and sharing such a beautiful story, a vulnerable moment of like letting go and surrendering. And yeah, it sounds, it's such a personal journey. And as long as we try to control and resist, yeah, things keep coming through different situations. And then when we are like, okay, let them be the way they are, and it's yeah, you can start to feel whatever you like, the opposite of what you were resisting, opposite of anxiety, opposite of anger, and all starts to come to you. And it's, yeah, that awakening growth, it's a beautiful process. But yeah, I hope to experience it more and more, because sometimes I fall for the anxiety and fear, and and so it's a process, I guess. It's a process. And I can see Marisa also appear on the video, and we have Asta raising hand. Uh, what do you have on your heart to share, Asta?
Well, first, I would like to ask, what is fear? Like for every person, fear is completely different emotion. Fear is really, really, as everybody, like I said, different way, it's false evidence. Like it's in your mind. False evidence of the future, but it didn't happen yet. Like nobody knows yet. So for me, fear, it's our imagination. So more we feed that imagination, it's terrible, it's dark, it's scary, it's all that. Yeah, that will be that what you will attract. For me, fear is like, I do not feel as a fear, but if I'm afraid of something, I'm like, okay, let's change the picture about it. What it would be, like imagine, like say, if I broke up now, what it will happen? And then I draw the picture, maybe not so scary as I only one thinking I know. Really, nobody know. It's the projection of our future. We just switch it on our projector of our heart and we say, This is I'm afraid. So more we say, this is I'm afraid, we starting creating this movie, and then it's happened, and then we say, oh, sugar, I told you so. And then we give out to ourselves, you know. So for me, when I afraid of something, I'm like, okay, stop, you know, and I'm trying to imagine something in the more beautiful way. Like say I'm afraid of spider. Oh, don't give it to me. But I want to get excited about spiders. So what I do, I started Google it. I'm starting looking. Oh my God, they have so many eyes. They have so many. Oh, wow, they're amazing. So now I'm like nearly interesting. Wow, that's interesting. So if you're afraid of something or Google it, so that's at least is a fact. At least is a real stuff. And then if somebody looking for way out, don't get in your mind, how will I wake out? Oh, this is will be happening like this. 100,000 people did gone through this. It is there someone who will guide you. Don't go on your own. When I was called after my abusive husband and all that, I decided to leave my country, run to leave behind my child, only 3 years old, leave everything, and only with 400 euros in my pocket. I could start it, go crazy, planning how it will be terrible in there. Actually, my ex-husband, after that, he started sending me videos what women are sold for sex trafficking because you know, I didn't know about it. Thanks God. But the point was, I did not even Google it. Where is the island? I did not even knew where it is. I only knew I have to go through Paris. Paris was one of my biggest dreams to visit because when I was visiting fashion design, always we was looking in designs and architecture and all this, and I'm like, Paris, all I want to go in Paris for 2 days, and then who cares what will be after that? And that's what I'm kind of feeling. Universe, for some reason, gave you this, and for reason, it will get you out. Everything is planned. I know we want to control it, but even our bird was time and you get out. Of course, it's comfortable with mom. Sit it in the womb and be comfy. But we can't stay there anymore. And what's happened, and I love when Stephen was saying, what's happened? Parents and everybody, God gave life. God and all universe and everything gave this life. And what we see, okay, now I will take over. God, go away. That's it. I don't need you. Now my big ego and I'm big this and big that. And parents and everybody's society when we will take over. And then in the end, why is all this happen? Because we give away our power and we forgot to talk with our higher powers. That's mean whatever you want to call it, God, universe, whatever. We are in the right time with the right people, and with the right time, it will be guiding us to leave. Yes, we can hurry up, but one day I think we will believe it anyway. Our soul will not be able to take it anymore, but we can do it faster. So if you're afraid of something, find real evidence, not false evidence. Get excited about it or not, you know, projection of terrible story. Because projection, that's what you will get. You're creating your movie from your heart. So let's create your movie, what you want. And that's what I do always. I do vision boards, I do drawings, I do everything just to be, if I don't know, if I want something to start, new business, new project, no anything. Drawing, pictures, and I'm visualizing this. And I'm creating my projection. I am creator as we all. So let's create beautiful things instead of fear and terrible thing. So that's how I work, and that's how I really, for everybody, if you don't know something, Google it. Don't look in there, or ask your heart, or don't be afraid, but get real evidence, not false. That's only what I normally suggest for everybody and myself. That's how I live. And thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Asta. And it sounds like there is so many layers of that, because as you know, I remember when it was 2019 when I wanted to come to United States and move from Spain, from Barcelona, and but I was, you know, it took me like 6 months actually to just find some kind of courage to come here. And then there's another, like every day brings something else, and it's like so many layers, and you realize, well, yeah, part of me wants to stay where it is because it's safe, but this doesn't make me joyful and fulfilled, because there's a part of me who wants to grow, and actually, if I don't do anything else, I would, you know, always regret. Like it will, yeah, and it can make you feel stuck too when you're like too much, too long staying in that fear. But what you are saying and your story of deciding to be a single mom and living with your child, going to Ireland when you didn't even know where it is on the map, and like you're just the idea of having the vision and being brave, you give us permission also by sharing it to see that, you know, you did it and it's accessible. We all can have access to that, and the how is really going to come as we do little steps. Even though we live, I feel sometimes in the society which tries to show us what we don't have, you know, like who we are not, through the, you know, comparing and constant, like you have to have this, or like advertisement. And so what you're saying, like having that connection with the universe, with God, with something what's stable, what never changes, it can be the fundament, and it really is for many of us, including myself, to no matter what, feel that I will be taken care of. Like I can trust myself. I will figure it out. Like if I end up on the street, I know I will figure it out. And that can mean everything, because, you know, few years ago, I wouldn't be able to have that belief, because I wasn't feeling safe with myself. I wasn't trusting my intuition. But now I know that I got me, you know. And so it's that process of constantly growing, and what else is there, and being curious too. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Also, Marisa, I encourage you, if you would like to share about your thriving, what has been, what's on your heart around this word, please. What has been the most challenging moments in your life where you actually took that step of that leap of faith step? And I know there is so many because of you're a speaker and doing many things, but would you like to share?
Hi, everybody. I'm coming from Farmington, New Mexico. I just been on so many Zooms today. It's crazy. You know, thriving was something that I didn't really think about. You know, when I first started sharing my story, I just shared my story because I had to get counseling. So counseling was one of the first things, but you know, for me, it was I was out of the relationship. I had been in a toxic relationship for over 10 and a half years. And when I came back to finally face my abuser and try to, you know, get custody back, I had to face him again. But, you know, I had to find my strength because of how broken I was.
I think you froze for a second.
He did.
You know, I didn't know. I was afraid to see him. I was afraid to look at him. I was afraid to do a lot of things. And, you know, I had to really find my strength and do the right thing, you know, and get my son out of where he was, because, you know, he was drinking with him. And my son was only maybe 8 years old at the time. So it was pretty tough, you know. And I think that's what gave me my strength with my son. You know, I did it for him. I sobered up for him. I fought to get him back. Um, so as long as I stayed focused on my son and I did what the courts told me to do, it was get your driver license back, you know, find a get a job, um, you know, just rebuild my whole life. And it was my son that gave me that strength. And, you know, it was for him that I did it. And so that was thriving right there. It wasn't until a couple years later after I had gotten custody back that he told my ex had told my son, you know, I'm afraid of your mom. I was afraid of him. I didn't want to see him. I didn't want him near me. But when he said that to my son gave me my power back when he told me that he was afraid of me. So from there, I took that and I said, I'm not going to show him that I'm scared. So I took that, what he said, and I turned it around and I started speaking more about my story. I started sharing more of my story. And now, you know, I've been sharing my story for over 17, it's going to be 18 years. Coming January, February, it's going to be 18 years. I've been sober now for 18 years, going to be 18 years next month as well. You know, since really getting to thrive, you know, it really changed my life. And when I decided to put my book out, to share my story in a book about 4.5 years ago, I connected with Anastasia, you know, and, you know, it just made my voice that much powerful. And, you know, the things that I've gone through, you know, with me telling my story, sharing my story over and over again, that's my heat. It's me releasing it every time, you know, and through this space, you know, it helps me thrive even more. It helps me want to help the next person. It helps me want to look for that next person, you know, and, you know, we know what it's like when you're in that space. We know the feeling. We know how it feels when you feel like you don't know nothing. You don't think anybody cares, you know. So for me, it's trying to look for that next person so that we can help them, because, you know, we lose too many people. We lose too many people that are afraid. They don't want to get out. They stay for all the wrong reasons. You know, I did the same thing. So um this is what I thrive for. And thank you, Anna. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Marisa. You're a true legend from New Mexico. So happy you're here. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your story of thriving and success. And that's what you're really a proof of too, that, you know, we all can create our own definition of thriving, what it means. That and that's actually my next question to you guys, like success versus thriving. If you have some of your own experience of dealing with creating your own, you know, like Asta mentioned, vision board versus to what the society tells you what's, you know, what you're supposed to do or be, where you're supposed to be by certain age, or what kind of degree you should have, or, you know, or what you don't have, so you're supposed to not speak up because of blah blah blah. So please feel welcome to open mic and share your thoughts, your feelings. And I can see we have Crystal and then Anna.
For that question, it's actually something I'm going through right now, working on, everybody says, there's that like guide, you're 18, you graduate high school, you go to college, you get your degree in XYZ, and you move forward. But at the same time, how many of us are in our 30s, 40s, even 50s, and realizing, what the hell am I doing? This isn't what I want. This isn't who I am. I'm not thriving. I'm miserable. And we're completely rebooting our lives, whether it's because we're getting out of a very traumatic, abusive relationship, or just because we realized we don't want to be in that box that we've been put in our entire life. And between the anthology book that Marissa, Kristen, and Sheldon actually all have contributed to beautifully, by the way. Marissa and I finished hers up this morning, and their chapters are amazing. Or my 2 new coaching programs, which are exactly that. They are to help you rediscover who you are and where you want to be in life. To me, that's success. And it is also thriving, becoming who you really truly were supposed to be in life and not being stuck in that box. Stephen and I have had this conversation multiple times actually, about just that. His group in the mornings, I don't remember what day, but has had some really enlightening conversations about that. To me, thriving is being your best self, even in the face of adversity, and just getting up and doing it no matter what happens, and being supportive to your friends, your tribe, your flock, and, doing what's right, even when it's not easy. Thank you.
Yeah, and that takes extreme courage to do what's right when it's not easy. And that growth behind it too. Then you're like looking back where you were and you're like, wow, now I'm not getting afraid doing this, but I'm getting afraid doing this. There's
Yep.
like,
And just the growth with my YouTube channel, and that's all your fault, me stepping out and being that influencer, getting my voice out there, because you helped me gain my voice that first time, acknowledging the people that have helped you grow along the way is also a part of thriving and being successful, because without those people and the love and help, we wouldn't get to where we are. You're not a one-man army. None of us are. We need that help to be able to thrive.
yeah, and then giving our own self credit, it's so important, or like just celebrating ourselves. Oh my God, like little things. I made the breakfast. I got to dress up. That's incredible. Like I feel like we live in a society that you get to match certain standards. And if you don't, then, don't show up. And it's like kind of, it reminds me this idea of bending the reality and creating your own vision of life and kind of being delusional a little bit. Okay, like living in that state sometimes that's as if I was already where I want to be. I mean, that's actually like how my intuitive senses always were going to, like, okay, maybe I'm not where I want to be yet, but there is this like, I'm not talking about the law of attraction, but more like being grateful that it is here already, in a way. Like that can actually make you be in that vibration of, okay, I'm going to welcome this kind of resources and people to come to my life. So when they come, I'm not like, hey, no, I'm not deserving. I'm not the person. I'm like, yes, here I am. I am the person. But yeah, that's my kind of little insight there. Thank you. And I see Anna and Asta raising hands. Ladies.
Yes, you asked the question, what was the difference between someone being successful and someone thriving? I'd like to add a little bit to that. I'm just going to use my example for a moment, and then I'm going to use somebody else's example. I was successful from a very young age. I had my diploma before I was even 16. I was going to school at night time, and while I was going to school with normal school during the day, so I was fully qualified. And so I had a successful business for the first 10 years of my life, excuse me, from the age of 16. But I wasn't thriving because there was no joy, and it wasn't because I didn't love my work, it was because of all of the emotional trauma. So I think you can be very successful in your life with your work, even in your relationships, but if you have trauma that hasn't been dealt with, and one of the things that I'd like to point out is that we are three parts. You know, we have the spiritual, the emotional, and the physical. And our cellular memory and DNA records everything, even in the womb. It records everything, and we carry even our lineage. So if we come into this life and we come in upset, we don't even know why, because everything appears normal. I mean, I have clients coming all the time to healing work, and they don't know why they're upset, because the recording is in the cellular DNA, and it comes from many past lives even. And some of us have the ability to see all of that. And when you clear it, all of a sudden, the joy and the thriving comes in. So even though they have a successful life, a successful family, successful work, successful husband, successful relationship, but they're missing the joy and they don't know why. And that is what I wanted to point out, that in the emotional cellular memory, it's connected. When I do the healing work, we clear that, we disconnect and I wanted to let people know that there is a way of doing that, where we can remove, disconnect the emotion from the cellular memory, from past lives, from current, from childhood abuse, from whatever trauma. And people, all of a sudden, it's an instant change. They go from successful, but they go to thriving as well, because the joy and the love comes in fully. And they don't have all those blocks there that were there from previous lifetimes, from ancestors, in the cellular memory. So when we clear that, it's just like seeing a flower blooming. I had a gentleman come in for a clearing one day. He was a chiropractor, absolutely loved his work, very successful, and he was doing a lot of work, listening to a lot of spiritual people talking, and he said, I'm really spiritually aware. And during the session, the first thing that came up was joy. And he said, but I understand joy. And I said, yes, but becoming joy itself, because we've upgraded frequencies, that makes you become joy itself. It's not the same as understanding joy or learning about joy. When you become joy itself, or you become more love itself, the frequencies that you walk around, you have more light, you carry more light, and that is what emanates. So the changes between someone that's successful and someone who's thriving is so different. And when you find what that is that makes that change to be, so that you are thriving in your heart, in your soul, in your mind, and that you are a walking joy, bundle of joy, love, and you're thriving. You have to find that through whatever healer it is. And there's so many of us in the world now. We've come out, we're shining. This is the time. And anybody who's listening or watching, I totally urge you to look for it, and don't give up, because when you find it, you feel that beautiful love and joy again, no matter what's happening around you, as Crystal said. So I'm really, really thankful for having this opportunity to speak. I have to leave in about 4 minutes, but I just wanted to share that with everybody. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Anna, so much for bringing that up, that there's inner healing to do. Yes, and I feel like there is and that growth process, there is always like another healing and another, and it's like, and it's not necessarily about fixing ourselves, but more like, yeah, I get to have a better relationships with people, or like get more, be more playful and have more joy and fun. So I feel like even healers are doing still healing work, you know what I mean? That there is like, that's maybe why we live 80, 90, 100 years old, because we get to have so many lives in one life, really, you know, totally different person now. When, you know, 7 years ago, there's this cycle of, you know, our body, like you said, on the the cellular level, it's amazing. And then I almost feel like that there are some changes we cannot do alone. That we need another person to witness us, to believe in us, or to see in us something what we can see yet in ourselves. In those quantum loop moments, that's, for me, it was like, that's really what helped me to see myself in a different light. Because for, you know, the hardest thing I ever done was to believe in myself, and it's still a hard thing. But I was, you know, smart to surround myself who did, and then it slowly made me realize, okay, wow, I actually deserve respect. I deserve to have a good life. And it was surprising to actually have it. And then people around, to have those people around to be like, there's more, there's another, you know, another reality you can go to, another room. And you're like, oh my God, this is scary. This is, I don't know if I can go there now. You know, it is mind blowing. Like, we don't have really, you know, limitations, like where we can go. And that can be really scary, because then it's like, wow, then what really stops me to don't go there, to that next room? Yes, and I can see Asta, and I don't know, Anna, I know you're leaving in 2 minutes. Do you want, if you're welcome to, if you want to say anything lastly before Asta, or are you going? Okay, you're soon going. Okay.
I just wanted to say goodbye to everybody, and sorry I have to leave. I have an appointment and need to help somebody. But thank you so much. It's so good to be here, and thank you for everything and all the work you're doing. And I look forward to catching up with everybody again next time. I'm away next weekend for 2 weeks.
Yay!
Christmas holidays.
Yay!
Yay!
Finally!
Happy holidays. Be safe.
Thank
Thank you
Enjoy
so
your trip.
much.
Thank you
Thank
for your
you. Merry
wisdom and your positivity, Anna. You really bring a
Thank
lot
you.
to the space.
Yes.
Thank you, Steve and Crystal and everyone. Esther, Grace, Marissa, Anastasia. Thank you again.
you.
Have a beautiful, beautiful day. Bye bye.
Yeah. See you next year. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably, right? It's almost there. Bye.
Oh, that's so nice to have a chat about something what sometimes people don't want to touch that life stories at all. For me, really about success and thriving. So I think thriving when we really starting daring to share our story. Like that's where start thriving. But really success for me, when I see my abuser at the front and have no feelings, like no love, no fear, no scarcity, no nothing. It's like he's not holding power over me. No matter what I could feel. One day you could feel, oh, I don't care. That's already a feeling. You don't care. You know, you ignoring, you don't want to, you afraid, you whatever feelings, that's mean they still have that power button, like pushing button over you. Success for me when I could look at that person and only I can see the soul wearing this costume. And no matter what costume they put on this time, this life. Maybe last life they was, monk, they was Buddha, they was there. We don't know. So when I stopped feeling anything and I could talk, I can call because I have a child with him, like son. So I could talk with no feelings, no emotions, nothing. And then when I felt, you know what, I think I've done it. I grew to that point where I don't feel anything about him, like nothing. And then when I felt I succeed, I overcome this huge thing, but I actually run to different country, miles and miles and kilometers away, you know. And then when I felt that, that's what I felt. You know what? That's a success. I forgive him. I let, everything. And then I felt, yeah, well done me. No more he done it because of him, because of that, because of this. No more, nobody to blame. I take 100% responsibility how I feel about anyone. And when I took that responsibility, I understood what if I let him to control my life still after 20 years, that's mean I'm still giving my power to him, to someone else. And that's where my success, I felt I'm succeeded. That's it. I'm happy. It took me a little while. But now I'm like, and when you stop dreaming, even those scarcities, dreams, like reminding you and all that, like nothing. Then when I felt really, I succeeded. So let's succeed. Don't let them to drive our life, no matter what we feel. It's just a soul, just like me and you. And they come in this life with a mission to do something. And that was their mission. No baby born and said, you know what? I will go and do something. No, because they had some life stories to create them what they become. They're not bad people. They just got it in the wrong stories where it become boom, this. But we need to just like understand. Thank you.
Thank you also for sharing your wisdom and those insights from your soul. Because when you're in the moment like that, yeah, I mean, to see yourself being able to see your ex and feeling total peace, that's 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 more than success. It's like, wow, I became this person who can create inner peace regardless what's going on. There can be chaos around, and I'm still able to. I mean, I feel fear, feel anxiety, but handle it in different ways, right? And so it doesn't make me run away or don't face situations anymore. And that understanding that, yeah, we are all on the journey, that the thoughts which come in our head judging someone, they're just thoughts, right? And that at the end of the day, it's in some way of reality, we're all connected. But yeah, definitely it's a journey, because I mean, I still get those moments where I'm like getting in my head too much and like, okay, and then I have to, okay, what's going on here? Yeah, so like that self-evaluation, it's also important. I can see we're close to an hour, and I would like to give opportunity to Stephen, Marisa, Grace. Thank you, Crystal, for coming. Appreciate you. Would you like to add any of your thoughts on thriving, success?
I'll just add something quickly, and it's this idea that I love what everyone has been saying,
You
especially
don't
what
have to do it quickly. It's fine. I
All
just
right. Well, sometimes it's nice to do it quickly, but I loved what Asta shared about shifting in your perception of others, and I think there's a gift that comes when we shift in our perception of others, because when you tap into that energy of life, right? That perception, not only do we view other people as not bad or good, we just view them as being unskilled or more childlike, less having less skill in either communication or in interaction. but there's a beautiful gift that comes with that as well, as we recognize that we are too, right? It's not that we're perfect in our life. It's that we're here to grow, we're here to learn, and we quit judging others, and that moment of letting go of the emotion, that is the true form of forgiveness. I mean, that when we are no longer bound to the wounding of the past, that is the ultimate forgiveness. And so when you're talking about the difference between success and thriving, what came to mind to me is success sometimes can be externally validated, right? It's when people can look at us and say, "Oh, you've got it all together. Everything is good. You're successful. You're wealthy, or whatever." But you may not be happy. You may not be connected to a sense of purpose. You may be miserable. You may not. There's no telling how you feel internally. And thriving is when we actually connect to a sense of purpose or connect to our authenticity. It's when we're at peace, when we're feeling good about our life. And to me, it's something that's only found within. When you're looking at success, we're looking for external validation of who we are. But if we're talking about thriving, we actually go within and we recognize that we're pretty darn good just in our imperfect self. And so once we can embrace that we're good enough, then we can start asking ourselves some pretty difficult questions. What belief do I have that allowed me to put up with bad behavior, right? What belief do I carry about myself that kept me in the situation that was so, difficult for so long? And when you can ask yourself that question, sometimes the truth will come up, and a lot of times the truth is that you don't think you're good enough, or you don't think you're worthy of love, or something like that. But the thing is we are all worthy of love. We're all good enough because we're alive, and that's the litmus test for thriving is if you wake up in the morning, you've got the opportunity of doing something pretty special. And I do believe that every day we wake up, doesn't matter our past, doesn't matter how much of a failure we were, because if you talk to people that have truly succeeded in life, they have a different relationship to failure. They either view failure as a necessary component to success, or they view it as something that just didn't work and they just keep trying until they get it right. So if you feel like you're a failure, if you feel like life's not working out for you, you're right in alignment with those that are most successful. Just keep at it. So it's, thriving's right around the corner. That's all I had.
Can
Thank
I
you.
say something to
Yes.
just respond? I agree with what Stephen's saying. I view failure as a learning experience. You know, try again kind of thing. As long as you learn something from it, it's not a failure. I don't accept failure in my life. I see it as, I learned something. Let's try a different way. You know, so that was just my little attachment to Stephen's share, because I do firmly agree with you on that.
Yeah, and well, um, thank you so much for sharing that, Stephen and Krista. Appreciate. And I also like to think about that we are going to die in a way, this or that way. And it's like, okay, I'm going to die anyway. So what the worst can happen? I mean, if I take this, this another jump. I mean, there is not really so horrible things, can happen, except that we got ourselves. Like this is, get to develop this relationship within yourself, and that no matter what, you can recreate circumstances and life over and over again. And there were actually a few, like, I think millionaires, and they end up like homeless, and they did this experiment to see if they can create a business out of nothing, and they did it without, and it's kind of, intriguing, fascinating how much resources there is within us when we put ourselves intentionally in kind of uncomfortable situation. It's like, wow, you can discover some deep things about who you are. But then there's also like the idea of thriving when you have comfort and pleasure. And so there's both, like there's this feminine way of thriving, and I think the masculine way of thriving. Like when I watch the world, how it shows us how to thrive, and I feel like whatever works, try both. Because we all have those, the female male energy in us. Well, thank you all for joining. Stephen, Marisa, Asta, Grace. Thank you, Grace. Would you like to add, unmute yourself or add I encourage you so. And if anyone has to go, we're over the time, and so I totally understand.
Yeah. I had written in the chat there that I'm laughing because in this moment I'm developing a fever, but truly, truly, I am in my thriving stage. So even though like right now in this moment, it's not exactly the definition of thriving, I really do feel like this stage 2 years after that I am. And it's not like living in the thriving stage means that there aren't any difficulties or moments of trials, but it's just that the return to thriving is so much quicker. You go through whatever thing that you need to go through, but it's not like it's going to be a 2-year process from that point on. It feels like, okay, I can handle this little bit of what I need to go through, and I'm really excited because around the corner would be, you just know that thriving is there because you've reached it again. Because there's that big, long period where you're not thriving, the complete opposite. You're in depths and you don't see an end, or you don't see that the thriving could be there. But once you get here, you reacquaint yourself with thriving, and you know that your mind and body can get you back there. And then you're more protective of it as well. You're more protective of your thriving state, so you make different decisions. Um, it's just a far better stage to be in.
Thank you for sharing that, Grace, and it sounded like giving ourselves that permission to have ups and downs in that thriving, right? That anytime when we excel in life, there's going to be moment like contract, and then you might feel like, oh my God, what's going on? But it's like that. Sometimes we expect that thriving or change will be like permanent, like we're going to adapt right away to that new life or new relationship or just feeling comfortable. But the truth is that our nervous system and brain is like how it changes is a process too. So creating this, I feel like, communication with ourselves that, okay, it's all good. Like all of that is okay. Like, not really like judging it, that I always have to, have my ABC to-do list, accomplish it, or that I can, the thriving can be I get to make a dinner for myself. I get to take a walk, and actually doing more of those things which makes you feel joyful and versus the opposite. All right, well, thank you all. If anyone would like to add the last statements, otherwise I will
Can I just
Yes.
ask if anyone feels called? I'm doing every 2 weeks energy healing session online where we do activating your heart, your love, and push it away darkness and all other negative emotions, what is not serving you. So please do connect, and it's free. So I'm calling to enjoy it and just really stay at home. And we will doing this Monday night, the same time what is now. So if anybody call, just private message me, send me a message, or on the YouTube, and you will be joined with us, and you can stay and relax from your own home and start activating love, what you deserve.
Thank you so much, Asta, and I also can put the link later on to the YouTube if you want, if you have some link to sign up for that. Thank you for all the work you're doing as well. Thank you all for coming together. Thank you, Marisa. Thank you, Asta, Stephen, Grace, Crystal, and Anna. And so the episode is going to be also available on YouTube in an hour or so. And I'm going to also share the screen here for those who would like to stay longer. But I know it's kind of late in Ireland and different places, so feel welcome, to leave us if you want to get your beauty sleep. Thank you so much, and I'm going to share the screen and share the documentary. All right, love you all. Thank you. Share computer sound. This is not only story of those 88 people, but this is a story of so many of us. My name is Anastasia Gajkowska, and when I left my abusive relationship, I wanted to create a movie, a film, a documentary where I interview not only survivors, but thrivers. I mean, people who left abusive relationships and they're really thriving now. I flew to Hollywood to learn the art of making films. I asked 8 questions. This documentary is a sample of combined stories. I use my laptop camera, my phone camera. Many recordings you will see in this documentary were filmed by survivors in their own home. All our participants decided to share their story voluntarily. 88 stories, one soul, one voice, one calling for the whole humanity. Welcome back. In this episode, our Exposé experts and thrivers are sharing what helped them the most to thrive after leaving an abusive relationship. Enjoy!
I'm thriving now. I'm happy. I don't have to gaslight myself. I don't ruminate like until I see pictures on the ceiling. I don't have anxieties no more. It's like my life is I'm a completely different person now. Completely different person from receiving therapy. Yes, I had to do my own work, but yes, that's where the start of my real healing process actually started. That's the place. Therapist, coming back from the therapist and not being able to talk, like physically. It's like somebody had just switched off my volume. No talking for like 4 days. Nothing. No talking. People would phone me, not want to pick up the phone. People would call, nah. Hey Seth, how you doing? Yeah, fine. And then not talk. Just make up excuses. I'm going to bed. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Not wanting to be around anyone because my brain was recalibrated and processing all those things, all those suppressed emotions and suppressed feelings.
And everyone's thriving looks different. You know, my thriving looks different from someone else's thriving from someone else's thriving. The thing to know is that these are skills that can be learned. And every person, we are all equal. We all have equal opportunity. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional here, to learn these skills, because I'm tired of people feeling like it's not for them, or like there's something special about someone who healed, or they're somehow stronger, or people, you know, saying, oh, that person's just not resilient. No, every person can learn. Every person, their skills.
Your experience of trauma is equivalent to a car crash. Every time a car comes, beach crashes you into the side. What happens when a car crashes or knocks your car? It leaves a scratch, it leaves a dent, it leaves a mark. And this is what we go around. We walk around with these dents and bruises, and they're unhealed trauma. But yeah, their exterior and our face, oh yeah, we're lovely, we're smiling. But you're like broken. Like if you were to analyze yourself, how much trauma your body and your mind has gone through, and you equivalent it to a car knocking you every time. You're on the road, a car hitting you from the back, from the side. Someone drops something on the roof. How do you think your car would look? It would look a mess, right? It would look it would state. If you just picture it, just for all those times, and it's not just like every single time. Maybe make it as an exercise. Picture yourself as a car, and do it as if you were physically beaten. Put that as someone hit you from the side, so all your doors bashed in. Rape. Put it as someone taking a hammer, beating your car. Name calling. Take a hammer, a knock. You would, and then put it over, and you kind of capture every single time that they said that, or every time that thing happened. It's like, and when you look, it's like, oh my God, it's like, this is me. Like, this is me. My face is happy, but my body and my exterior is so damaged. And this is what we go around in. We go around in, because we can't see the damage. We think the damage is, oh yeah, it's okay, it's fine, I can deal with it, I can handle it. No, this damage is just the whole, that visualization is quite extreme, but this is what we go around. Those of us who suffer trauma, like I had no doors, like my car had no doors, ripped off, like because all the forcing, all the anxiety, all the gaslighting that I had to go through. But I put on a persona that I was happy and jokey and loving, but I was destroyed. Like when I look at myself to how I am now, I was like destroyed, and I tried to make the best of what I could. And then, but yeah, now what I know now, I was just not even ready to do anything, like married, kids, nothing, because I was so broken.
I think what happens too is a lot of people will look at somebody like me and they'll think, oh, she's super confident and she's so together and all this stuff, and I will agree with that. I don't discount that. But I think that's an important part of it, is I'm able to embrace that part of myself and go, wow, I didn't used to be like this at all. I used to be a wreck. I was your classic doormat when it came to relationships. Men would literally walk all over me. I would get used regularly. And I was jealous and fearful, and sometimes I could be, mean and protective, and just trying to self-protective, and they're dissociative. I was so dissociative for so many years. And so it is a process that you go through of worthiness. And the thing that worked the most for me was, and it's something I continue to do with myself daily, I continue my process. It doesn't just end now, whoa, suddenly I'm living this amazing life, you know. I do think my life is amazing, and it's accepting where you are right now and going, okay, today I can get a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. And the thing that worked the most for me really was learning to see the best parts of me and to honor the best parts of me. You know, people may tell you like, oh my gosh, you're so nice, you're so kind, you're so beautiful, you're so, like, take that energy in. We're so busy pushing it away because it's like, well, no, I'm not worthy, you know? And so as soon as you push that energy away, you're pushing away your worthiness. And you are worthy. Every single person on this earth is worthy. Every person has amazing skills and talents and abilities and all these incredible qualities. You have compassion and love and peace and joy and kindness and all of those things just as much as you have guilt, shame, anger, sorrow, pain. And so the journey is about going from that to that. And to name that, it's going from who you think you are, who you're told you should be, who society has been telling you you should be, who your parents told you you should be, your schools told you you should be, and how you should think and what is quote unquote normal, to going to who you really are. And that's who you know you are. That's who you know you are inside, and only you know what that is. You know, what's genuine to you, what's the truth for you of who you really are. And you'll find that again with your skills, your talents, your abilities, and what you came to this earth to share. And that's your service. And when you find a way to be of service to others with those things, oh man, it's the most incredible, energizing, healing force I think there is.
The conscious Lisa would have never married him. My higher self would have never chosen him, and I certainly wouldn't have stayed for as long as I stayed. So I was not conscious in that relationship, although I thought I was. And so when I began to understand that I was living below the veil of consciousness, then my aim was to remain above the veil of consciousness and to continually work at raising my level of consciousness so I can observe the way I think and the way that I feel. And if I can observe the way that I think and the way that I feel, then I'm in control over my life. So when I am with someone who is abusive, I know it by the way that I feel. And I don't have to engage, and I don't have to defend myself, and I don't have to go down a rabbit hole. I can just leave that person where they are. So I don't even have to judge that person from a higher state of awareness. So I'm able to hold on to my own energy without being drained by other people. And it really is the path. I feel like we're all on that path. We're all here to gain a higher state of consciousness, to come out of the subconscious life. Carl Jung says that until you make that which is subconscious conscious, it will dictate your life and you'll think it's fate. And nothing could be further from the truth. I think it's the only way to heal trauma is to become conscious of your trauma and conscious of we can mold our reality if we can awaken to what's happening in the subconscious mind. And narcissists arrest us because they control what's in our subconscious mind. And you know what? I thank the person that I was with, and they just got worse. After I got divorced, it was like the men that I picked just got worse. You know, and I realized, oh my God, I was the common denominator. None of these men knew each other. That's not to say that narcissists are not abusive. They are, but it sheds light on like the type of what was up with me, that I was attracting these men and begging for their approval, right? So it wasn't until I changed that changed, and I'm in a very healthy relationship right now. I've been with my husband for 13 years, and it's amazing. So you can heal, you can thrive, and you can attract a healthy relationship.
Knowing that people can not just bounce back from adversity, but actually bounce forward. And that's what post-traumatic growth is about, and reach new levels of thriving and new levels of self-actualization. So of course, we never want anyone to go through trauma. That's just not anything anyone would ever want to experience. And at the same time, if we have experienced trauma, we know that we don't just have to bounce back to where we were, we can actually bounce forward.
We were victimized, but we're not victims. That part of the healing I see in my patients is a very hard thing to get over. Especially the longer you're with a narcissist, the more years you're married to one, or the more years you're with someone, that takes a longer time. That getting from victim to survivor to thriver, you know? So I find people start ruminating. That they want to stay in that victim position, and they're so angry, and they don't want to take responsibility to stand on their own 2 feet because they're scared, and they're still trauma bonded maybe, or just it's still in that victim mode. But yeah, that's why it takes a while. So it's almost like you go from trauma bond to being in a victim mode for a while. But when that lifts, and you see it in someone, it's an amazing thing. When somebody says, I am a codependent, I am, enough with that, I need to take responsibility for me.
Something really powerful in owning your victimhood. I think that we move too quickly from, I'm not a victim, I'm a survivor, which is great, right? I'm a survivor, absolutely. But the only way that I got to the place of owning survivorship was by owning my victimhood, was by allowing myself to go, wow, I really owning it. Because there's a lot of power in that, as sort of maybe dichotomous as that may sound, there's actually a lot of power in owning that you were a victim. And that's sort of where you can sort of really dive into the grief of that, because so often we're like, I'm not a victim, I don't want to look at that. That's really hard and ugly and scary, and I don't want to look at it. And again, if you don't do that, you're kicking the can down the road, because eventually you're going to have to go through that.
A lot of people want to, as survivors, as a victim, a lot of them want that justice, but the greatest justice that we can serve is by developing ourselves, by our self-love, our self-compassion, by thriving beyond. There's no way to take any of us down. We were here for a purpose, but that in itself is justice through the way that we design and choose our lives, the way we create our lives after abuse. There's the justice.
I think that's really important to remember. One of the things that can help take you out of feeling like the victim is reminding yourself and really looking from the perspective that this happened for you, for your development, for your growth, for your forward movement. It didn't have to happen to you. As long as you're in that, this happened to me, and you're in the victim place. And when you stay in that space, it's very hard for healing to come through to you. But when you start thinking like, okay, well, this happened for me to transform that, for me to learn how to be more loving to myself, to stop beating myself up. That's huge, huge, huge. If you grew up in an experience with parents, one or the other or both, who were abusive, they might have been self-abusive, they might have been abusive towards you, you learn to beat yourself up too. That's how you do it, right? That's how we get through life. And beating yourself up is so counterproductive to your healing. So learning how to be kind to yourself, to be gentle with yourself, And one of the things I tell people to do is like start calling yourself sweetheart. You know, like, okay, scan your body. What do I need right now? I'm thirsty. Okay, all right, sweetheart, let's go get some water. You know, and that's self-care. You know, because like after you leave your parents, you parent yourself. And if you think about that being a part of your everyday experience, how would you have wanted to be parented? You would have wanted to be parented with love, with compassion, with understanding, someone who listens to you, someone who cares for you, someone who's really there for you on an emotional level. And so when you give all of those things to yourself, you're changing the whole landscape of what is already internally sort of in place inside of you that doesn't have to be anymore.
You need a why. What is yours? What is your why? Why do you still fight to get up in the morning? Why do you get a job? It's not just to have a car. It's not just to have an apartment. There's something else.
Everything is a reflection, and my outer reality is a reflection of my inner reality. So if you have people in your life that are abusive or critical, then it means you're being like that to yourself. Are you saying to yourself, I'm ugly, I'm fat, I'm undeserving, I'm unworthy, I'm not enough, nobody wants me? You're literally vibrating in fear, fat. Like, would you say any of those things to anybody else? What do you want to say to yourself instead? How do you actually want to feel? Make a list of all the qualities and traits that you would love to embody and be like. Why am I so happy, healthy, and abundant? You do it while you're moving, while you're dancing, and you're the most important person in your life. So own it and go and have fun. Go and do what you want to do. Do what brings you joy, and do more of that every single day.
At a certain point, it stops being so healthy to keep revisiting all the things that happened, right? I think it's important to, you know, like I said, get the counseling, get the support, do all the things. And at some point, we really want to focus on life moving forward, because the thing is, you know, they already stole enough time from us in the past. Our life is ours moving forward, and we don't want to let them take any more of that away from us. And understanding that every person, you know, is equal. Every person on earth is equal.
Sometimes we have to do some deprogramming in a way, because we may think everything is a threat, you know, because of our trauma. We think everyone's going to hurt us, and it's not true, right? So we have our own work to do on feeling that safety again in various environments that are generally safe, and with various people that are generally safe. So a lot of it comes down to, you know, tuning into what feels okay, what feels safe, what feels supportive, what feels nurturing, and then getting underneath that. If nothing does, you know, there needs that work needs to happen. So you can find what we call resources, are things that are comforting for you, like whether it's your feet in the grass, or a hot cup of tea, or taking a bath, or, you know, the things that help you to feel settled and calm in your system, or certain people. So as we start to heal inside, you know, we start to choose people who are healthy for us more, because we're more tuned in. So it's not a short answer, you know, because it may take a process, like you've been saying, to get to that place where you can trust your body, and where your body's not like always giving you these red flags because of your trauma.
When you take control over the inner narrative, when you start speaking lovingly to the self, that's when you turn your energy on. And you can teach yourself to do that automatically, which is what I work on every day. And that's how I help empower my clients too. So they're their own life force. So now when I'm my own life force, I don't need someone else to make me feel good, because I can make myself feel good. And now that I have the contrast, I know when you're not making me feel good. Now I can avoid you, because now I know what feels good. So now I can trust myself, and I can trust my instincts. And I'm so protective over that energy that there isn't a person alive that I'm willing to risk that for.
When you take back your power, you make your opinion the most important opinion. You take self-responsibility for yourself in your life, and you stop blaming other people, then you go, okay, done. I'm done with blaming. I'm done with shaming. I'm done with the guilt. And I'm going to accept that it happened to me. But what I no longer wish to accept and tolerate is that this is going to be my future. I'm going to consciously choose and create my future. And what I want is to feel loved and valued and respected and safe and appreciated. What I want, and you journal out, you list out how you actually want to feel. Not what the dream relationship looks like, not what the dream man or woman looks like, but how do you actually want to feel?
The part where people are starting to get into post-traumatic growth is a really good place to start to look at being of service, right? Being of service to others. And also, but just also making sure that we are first and foremost serving ourselves. Like, what does post-traumatic growth look like? What does healing look like? Right. And a lot of people have this misconception that if they're still getting triggered at all, that they must not be healed. And that's just not the case. There are phases of post-traumatic growth, especially early on, where people still do get triggered. Just to be super clear, it's just that they know that they've built up enough of the skill set, because again, it's skills that can be learned, that they feel confident that they can handle the triggers. They know what to do, that they're not feeling like taken over, like how I used to feel and how so many people feel when they're triggered. Don't feel, overwhelmed by it, but feel like, okay, I see that I'm triggered. I feel that I'm triggered. I know what to do. I used to think that things were for others and not for me, because I was trained to believe that. And it's just not so. Every person, is equal. You get to choose how we live moving forward, having a little ferocity on your own behalf. That's really important.
So I'm a big advocate for living courageously. And if you look at the word courageous, it means your heart, courage. It's from cœur, from the French. And, first we have to find our heart. And if we've been putting layers and protecting ourselves, which is very normal when we've suffered any kind of abuse, there's a fragmentation of the body. And this especially applies for sexual abuse, by the way. There's a complete disconnection from the physical body because it's our protection. How can we possibly be connected in the body if our beautiful, sensitive, fragile, highly exquisite body is being treated like that? Of course, there's a fragmentation and disconnection.
Boundaries is basically saying no to somebody else, which means saying yes to yourself. And it's accepting that and being ready, willing, open, available, and committed to that. Because the reason why you set boundaries is because you're choosing to love, value, and appreciate yourself. It's because you're choosing, finally, to put yourself first. And when you're ready to do that, then it makes setting boundaries so much easier. So here's how you set boundaries in 3 easy steps. The first step is you need to decide what is important to you. What do you value? What are the 3 to 5 most important things that you value? Okay. And because we're talking about relationships, let's talk about it in form of relationships. So what are the 3 to 5 most important values to you in relationships, right? So for me, it's trust, it's loyalty, it's authenticity, it's support, and it's being positive. Like, I don't want any Debbie Downers in my space, right? So those are my top key values when it comes to relationships. So already you have to know and understand and really be crystal clear on what are your top 5 values in relationships, because it makes a non-negotiable so much easier to spot. It makes a red flag so much easier to see, right? Okay. So then from there, then you decide, all right, that's the first step, right? The second step is you go, okay, well, what am I no longer wishing to tolerate? What is my yes list? What is my no list? And you do this based on the past. Okay. So the reason why we have values is because we've been hurt before. So then we decide, well, shit, someone lied to me, so I really value trust. Someone cheated on me, so I really value loyalty. I've had people that were fake in my life, so I really value authenticity. I've had, and then you know, you keep going, right? So then you decide, what am I no longer wishing to tolerate? Step 2, what do I no longer wish to tolerate? People that lie to me, people that abuse me, people that put me down, people that bully me or criticize me, people that don't support me, people that judge me, right? So I no longer wish to tolerate X, Y, Z. Then the third thing is you create your yes list and your no list. This is your non-negotiables list. This is what I'm saying yes to. I am saying yes to the most amazing soulmate tribe family that love me, value me, appreciate me, support me, uplift me, that want me and encourage me to be more of myself every single day, that empower me, who I love so much that I would travel with. For me, like, that's the epitome, right? If I'm going to travel with someone, I love you, right? Who are there for me no matter what, who are so loyal to me and are like fiercely protective of me, who would never ever hurt me in any way, shape, or form. Like, that is my yes list, right? So create your yes list and then create your no list. This is my no list. Someone who lies to me, even if it's a white lie. This is my no list. Someone who lets me down. Someone who is more loyal to themselves and their needs than me. Someone who I have to feel like I have to watch my back around. Like, what is your no list? And this comes with experience and this comes with practice, but get crystal clear on, this is my no list. Like, if you exhibit any of these, it's a no. And then from there, it gets really easy to actually execute and do. I'm not saying it's like boom overnight, but when you have in your mind, like crystal clear, this is a yes, this is a no. It's like literally it's either this road or this road. It's like the road less traveled. Like which way am I going to go down? It's really easy. And then it's also really easy to let go of people. And this is what also really, really helps. Knowing and understanding that people come into your life for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. A season, a reason, or a lifetime. And they're just there to teach you a lesson. They're just there to help you for yourself. Like, I have walked away from so many people or let go of so many people in my life easily. And it doesn't, and like, I don't feel bad about it because you're not in my yes list. And I've had other people come to me, like even it's like whatever, 4 days ago, someone said to me, like, hey, I'd really like it if you and this person were friends again. And I was like, no, because I don't want people in my life where I feel like I have to watch my back, that I don't trust. So no, because they sit in this no box and I only have space for people in this yes box. And the more you say no to someone, the more doors will open up. So whenever you're letting go of someone in your life or you're walking away from someone, please know and recognize and realize what you're really doing is you're closing the door to this. And when you're closing the door to this, you're making space, and all these doors, like 10 doors are going to open, and all these amazing people and opportunities are going to come into your life as a result of you closing this shitty door. You tap into, what's my next step? Close your eyes, 3 deep breaths, in and out. Hand on heart. You can, like, I see like a ball of energy, a ball of light in my heart. Usually it's golden. Right now, I don't know why it's purple. Right? You tap into this field. The heart chakra color, this energy center color is green. So you can see a beautiful green ball of light. You tap into here. And you could do this and then just go, what's my next step? You go and do that thing. If you need further clarity, like, because the way your heart, your intuition communicates to you is very vague, very, very vague. It's like, it's usually 1 word or 2 words, and it's like, that makes no sense. Like, how, why, where, right? You ask further questions. Okay? So, for example, you could go, what do I need today? Recover. Okay. What do I need to do to recover? Rest. What do I need to rest? Sleep. Okay. When do I need to sleep? Nap. When do I need to nap? I don't know why this says between 5 and 6. This should have been my napping time. Right? So you just ask yourself more questions. So that's one way. The other way is you tune into your body. And here's the key thing. If it feels heavy, it means it's not right. If it feels light in your body, it means it's right. Okay? Heavy is wrong. Heavy red light, light green light. So, and your intuition is always right.
Just 2 years ago, I was ready to stop speaking. I felt like I couldn't find my target audience. I felt like the people I wanted to speak to, people who were like me, people who were like my mother, people who were like my aunt, they weren't willing to listen or pay to listen. And I was like, what am I doing this for? No one cares. I'm not reaching people. Right. And I say this with 5,000 followers on Facebook, you know, like probably 1,500 on LinkedIn, another 2,000 or 3,000 on Instagram, and then my TikTok stuff. You know, people are following me. I put up a post within minutes. People are liking it, loving it, sending me messages. Thank you. And here I am with this thinking of my own. And I've been in personal development for 29 years. So imagine where people are who have never been introduced to self-love, to self-esteem, to knowing that you are worth so much more than you give yourself credit for. So imagine their condition if I've been doing this for 29 years and I still slip back into the stinking thinking process, right? So I haven't always had this. I went through a process. You know, they say a mind once stretched never goes back to its original status, right? So I started being curious. I think that's the right word. Like, what are they doing over there? Why are there only that group of people there? Why does that say do not enter here? Just, you know, why do people like me who look like me never go over there? Why am I never invited over there? So once I became a business owner, I was like, you know what? I'm all about equality. Why did that guy just get a loan for $50,000 and he's rich and I'm poor? And they're saying they give it to minorities and women and I got nothing. So you're damn right. I got a megaphone and I would say, hey, why isn't this happening over here? And, you know, there were repercussions. Some people shunned me. Some people, oh, here she comes. I don't care, because as long as you treated me fairly. Now, again, I didn't do it thinking that I'm speaking my way. I did it because I had children to feed. I started out with one daughter, got a stepdaughter, got a niece, and then took on 4 boys. So I raised 7 children. So now I'm not worried about one child. I'm worried about 7. Now I have a staff. They have children. So people are, remember what I said, people are watching you and people see what you're doing. And you may think you're just the garbage man, right? But someone can't even get a job. So they just want to be just the garbage man. You may think you're just the cafeteria worker, just stirring a pot to feed children. You know, I told them that this morning in my talk. But guess what? Someone wishes that they could get a job to go into a place and feel strong enough about themselves or believe that they are worthy of stirring a pot for someone. So we take for granted the little things. I've lost so many things in my life. Family, friends, business. I went bankrupt. I lost 9 pieces of property. I lost a business that did over $65 million worth of gross revenue. Who cares? At the end of that, who I've become, how I've learned to love myself, how I've learned to love every one of my fat rolls that I used to be afraid to look at in a mirror. I walk by every morning and say, damn, you're sexy. And when I walk out of my house, no one better treat me any different, or else I shall move myself from your space, because I'm going to teach you how to treat me, because I've been mistreated and I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I've been ignored. I've been neglected. I've been cheated on. That can't happen anymore because I know who I am today. I've been beat up enough, and you shouldn't let them beat up on you either. and know that you are so special. You are unique. You have that right to be different. Who wants to die a carbon copy of someone else anyway? And so a friend of mine says affirmations a lot. And in one of the rooms we had, she said, the chaos around me is no match for the calmness within me. And I just want you to think about that. The chaos around me is no match for the calmness within me. So when you can sit and take a breather and say, what does this mean? Is this really personal to me, or is this person's stuff? And I need to remove myself or go ask for help, right? And again, I know that it's not as easy as that in every country and state, but there is help. You tell your story. You stand firm within your authentic self. Stick to your purpose and your why. And there is no way that you can't survive and thrive, because there's something about the truth. It is so much better than a dressed up lie. And you don't have to remember what that lie was. Anytime you hear me speak, you're going to hear the same stories. I grew up a poor little girl. We boiled water in our house. And then at one point I was paying myself $2,500 a week. And I could go anywhere I wanted. And I didn't go anywhere I wanted because that wasn't who I was, but I had the ability to do it. Now, some people say, well, you went bankrupt and you lost it all. Well, guess what? I did it. Have you? So that is your stuff. If you want something, get around the people who have what you have. Right? Now, be careful who you worship, because then we could be worshiping the people like the Kardashians and the crazy people. But, decide what it is, your why you want it. And then come up with a creative plan to get there. And I get passionate, but that's my story on thriving and surviving. If you are listening to this and you haven't had someone to talk to in your life, just to have a basic conversation, someone other than a family member or a loved one, right? Someone completely outside of the picture, just to bounce some things off, I say do it. Because we've all gotten to a point where we've done something or we wanted to do something, we stop. And that's fear, that ugly, little 4-letter word that's so powerful, right? And it's fear because we don't have the knowledge and or experience. We didn't know any better. We don't have the facts. All we have is hearsay, right? What someone else said. And until you experience it yourself, you don't know for sure. But what happens is we have these fears and we worry about things that will never happen, more than likely. And we waste time and we stop and we go, we stop and we go. And there's something stopping us. And that's something more than likely from our childhood or our young adulthood that scared the bejesus out of us. And we don't want to go there anymore. And it's stopping us from being great.
Dealing with my own depression and things like that, because everything in my life is not unicorns and roses. And, I miss my girls. I miss, my family. But I also remember that that's what I'm doing this for, so that other families don't go through what I went through. And so that when my girls do come home, they're not going to see somebody who broke. They're going to see somebody who kept persevering, kept trying, kept working to make it a better world for them, to make something of myself that they could be proud of, And that's really what has kept me going and kept me writing. And honestly, the writing, as hard as it can be at times, writing my stories, it also is healing. It's very, very healing. Putting pen to paper, those emotions, those stories, those trials and tribulations. Book 2 in Rise of the Crystal Phoenix series is actually the why I stayed. The underlying mental things, the abandonment issues from my childhood, things like that, because I want people to understand the why people stay in domestic abusive relationships. Because everybody says, oh, well, if he put his hands on me, I'd just leave. Heck, I used to say that as a kid, as a teenager, even as an adult. Until you're in that situation, sure, you can talk like that all you want, but until you're there, you don't know. And being in that situation, I'm writing these books to try and help the awareness so people are more understanding and not accepting of the situation, but understanding and willing to help instead of shame the victims and the survivors. Like it happens so often. That's really my motivation, and what helps me keep going is knowing that I'm giving hope.
What would you say to your younger self?
Just keep trying. Just keep pushing. Because the only thing I would change would be the way that I fought for my girls. I would have changed that up a little bit. But overall, the journey that I'm on didn't happen to me, it happened for me. If I didn't go through what I went through, I wouldn't be where I am today, and I wouldn't be feeling as fulfilled as I am. Because knowing that I am helping people and that I'm uplifting people, I mean, I'm part of a new nonprofit called Inspire Light that is going to be building a sanctuary for sex traffic survivors, specifically moms. And if I hadn't gone through what I've been through in my life, I wouldn't be there. I wouldn't be here to do that. And it's so fulfilling to me. I feel like I found my purpose. So honestly, I would just tell my younger self, just keep persevering. It does get better.
How has sharing your story changed since we met 2 years ago compared to now?
I was still faking it to make it at that point. I kept telling myself if I keep saying I'm not scared of him, then eventually I won't be. Well, I'm not anymore. I truthfully am not. I have not heard from him come September in a year, and I am so relieved. But honestly, if he showed up in front of me right now, I'd just look at him with pity and walk away. He doesn't have the power over me that he did then. The games that he played, they don't work anymore. And he gave up finally, thank God. I won't lie. But now, from then to now, yeah, I've gone through some bouts of depression and things like that, but I've had a lot happen. I mean, I lost my sister. My sister Susan passed away. I've had a lot that's happened in the last 3 years, but I'm not going to let it defeat me. And I keep pushing forward. And yes, I've also learned that I need to own my emotions and work through them instead of bottling them. And my writing takes a really, really big part in that. And it really does help with the healing. Between writing, like doing what I like to call purge and burns, where I write a letter to even myself and then burn it to release the energy. I do a lot of those.
I mean, it's a journey to go from surviving to thriving. It's not something that happens overnight. You didn't get to where you are overnight. But when you do take your healing into your own hands and make that decision to really heal and let go of the past and the way that the past has its hold on your body and on your emotional life and on your belief system. And as you shift that, you can start doing that just by watching this movie. This documentary right now will tell you so many things. You're going to have all these things shifting in your mind just as you hear people's stories and as you hear the advice and the information from people who've done their work. Is that there is a freedom that you can find that's on the other side of everything that you've been through. And keeping your eye on that, reminding yourself, like, other people have done it, they've done it, I can do this. I can free myself from these past experiences. I don't have to carry them forward with me, other than with that's experience that lets me know, let's not repeat that experience. I think it's as important to know what you don't want as it is to know what you do want in life. And so, you don't want to repeat that again. Okay. There's a certain amount of consciousness an awareness that you're going to have to develop in order to not repeat that again. And it's not just behaviors, it's really releasing the energy and the beliefs. It comes so much down to beliefs, because what we believe determines our experience more than you can possibly understand. And when you shift a belief, you shift your perception. When you shift your perception, it's like you're putting on new glasses that work for you. And you may no longer see the things that used to trigger you, just won't trigger you anymore. When you do release those beliefs and you release those emotions and how they get really lodged in the body.
Thriving isn't always a straightforward line. It isn't, and I do still have my moments where I go, I wish I could kiss my children goodnight every night. And if I only went back, I could do that. And it's just a glimpse. It's just a glitch of a moment, because as soon as I have another communication with their father, or if I really, really am honest with myself, it's like, no, that's like a fairy tale. That's not reality, because there's a reason that, you left. There's a reason why you are, you get up every day and you can live with yourself for, I can actually now be in my own, it's an energetic thing as well, because when you're in a relationship like that, it really affects you. It really pulls you down, and it robs your energy. It robs your resources. So if you choose yourself, and yourself can also mean your children. So often for mothers, we choose our children first. But by choosing our children first, it actually means we have to choose ourselves, because we can only be the mothers we want to be. We can only be fully showing up as ourselves if we choose that exit route. And then we are, that's why my chapter in Hear Aurora is called I Left for the Children, because I was putting the children first, even though it might not seem like that. And the immediate aftermath of that was that I wasn't with them all the time, and I have limited time that I'm with them every month, but I am confident that that is going to change, and that I am going to be I am a much better and stronger mother for having disentangled myself. And I'm not modeling to them a relationship, and this goes to the generational healing. Why would I want to model that kind of relationship to my children? That would be so damaging to them, that they see that, this is normal behavior between two people who love each other, who are their mother and father. This is normal behavior to speak to your mother like that. And it goes back to honoring the mother. I think we all need to remember that the planet is like our mother, that we need to have this honor for what is giving us life, the nurturing qualities of this planet, and it's like an essence, the mother. So I think that's an important thing for everyone to understand, that when you leave, it's not always a straight path, but sometimes it really is the only thing you can do.
People think of us like, oh, I'm either not healed or I'm healed. Well, there's, all the steps in between. I was still having some triggering, waking up in the middle of the night when I was in the early phases of post-traumatic growth. But I knew what it was, and I could just acknowledge that that's what it was. And I knew what to do to what I use the word recombobulate, regain harmony. I knew what to do to regain harmony in myself.
you're suffering. But it does take your determination to say, yes, I'm worth it and I'm going to get some help. But don't put yourself last, put yourself first, because even if you're a single mom or something, your kids will be way happier because of you helping yourself.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It's our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. I'm going to say yes to myself. I'm going to trust myself. I'm going to respect my boundaries. I'm going to celebrate myself.
It is your life. Your life is a choose your own adventure. Your life is a story that you get to write. You are the author of your own story. So do not sit there and play the role of the victim, be like, everything happens to me. No. You get to consciously choose and consciously create. And that is when you actually get to literally take back your power, because you're like, I am choosing this, or I am tolerating this. So if you are stuck in that position right now, then recognize and realize that you have a choice.
I ended up changing what I was attracted to. I was attracted to the tough, hard, kind of a guy, and I changed and was attracted to a completely different kind of a guy.
I've broken the pattern. And he was like, why would I? Why would I ever treat you with a lack of respect? Why would I ever treat you with a lack of love and respect that you deserve? And I was just like, it's gone. Because my energy shifted, because I chose me. I decided this is what I want, and I am not tolerating anything less.
What is your superpower?
My strength, and knowing that I can think it, believe it, and achieve it.
My ability to share my experiences.
Unconditional love.
Vulnerability, honesty, love.
I'm always willing to help people.
My heart.
I can love the people who have hurt me.
I can sense people.
Es resiliencia.
Being able to speak.
I'm a very, very fast learner.
The ability to relate to all different kinds of people.
I still always see the best part of every person.
Bringing people together.
I can find anything, anywhere.
I'm very supportive.
I'm just superwoman on you.
Intuition.
Realizing my character.
To see the good in others.
Listening.
Courage.
My mother.
Authenticity.
To make friends.
Deep connection.
My ability to grow.
Helping others.
Growing.
Listen to my heart.
It's creativity and innovation.
Is recombobulation.
Is being me.
Seeing the world with wonderment.
Patient.
To understand at a very deep level.
Love.
Bring out the deeper parts in people.
To think logically.
Self-healing.
Motivate people from the heart.
A wszystkie kobiety, które dzisiaj słyszeliście, są dowodem na to, że ta zmiana jest warta tego, żeby ją podjąć i warta jest tego, żeby o siebie zawalczyć.
This was an experience that actually helped us learn how to love ourselves better.
Everything isn't happening to you. Everything's happening for you. We don't have to get trapped in the past story. Instead of believing that we're broken and wounded and nobody will ever love me, we need to shift that perspective and say, no, I'm a warrior. I survived the unthinkable. And now I am stronger and better. I have gone through it and I've come out even better than before.
Someone else out there is living our life. Someone else out there is living the life that all of these survivors and thrivers have escaped right here, right now. You can pick up any newspaper. You can go online to any news outlet and you'll hear about mostly women, some men, but mostly women who are killed by their boyfriends, who are killed by the children of their father. You hear it all the time. And so there's someone out there right now that is living your survivor story. And when you start speaking, you give that person hope. So suddenly, with the hope, they start to have this idea of choice. And that is really possible. That's where you can really help someone create great impact in that person's life, and if they stay on the path, they can then in turn create great impact in their life. They can end generations of trauma. They can end generations of codependency, generations of women and men picking the wrong partners and staying and not understanding what's going on. And I think that is so encouraging. And that's why you do what you do, because you want to encourage people to awaken and to take ownership over their life in a powerful way and to tell their story.
You just don't know what people have gone through in this life to live, to stay alive, to breathe, to not cry, to hide their laughter because someone else doesn't want them to laugh. Someone says, oh, well, blah, blah, blah has happened to me. Immediately take a breath and say, what if that were me? How could I handle that?
Your reality can change. Who you are can evolve. You need to focus on love to access the reality of who you are. You need to embrace love in your life.
But that's what we're missing in this universe. It's love. And that is the antidote to hate, crime, pain, depression, anxiety, and hurting each other.
Thank you so much for watching, and I would love to invite you for the next episode, where you are going to hear all the reasons why people stay in unhealthy relationships. See you soon. Bye. If this episode resonates with you, please go to exposenetwork.com. You will find the link below, and we would love to learn more about you and your story. Do you have a story to share?
It's 9 in the city, and I'm on my way back home. Humming on my favorite ditty, swinging like Natalie Cole. But then out of the blue, who strolls down the boulevard but you? Your place is closer than mine. Why don't we go there and have some more?
All right. Thank you all. I changed my clothes. I was like, okay, I need to change my clothes. Thank you all for staying longer. I appreciate you all. And I mean, the next 2 weeks, in the next 2 weeks, we'll have another episode about why people stay in abusive relationships. And it's going to be Christmas time. So I'm thinking, you probably all have family and stuff. So probably, what you guys thinking to do it in January? January. Okay, I see the comment from Grace. Okay, yeah. All right. So have a great the rest of your year, and thank you for your presence. Thank you for your energy, for your insights, for your love. Thank you for this meeting for the last, when it was. We started August 22nd. So it has been a few months. We have been meeting every second week. So I learned so much about you, and I think we created some great, cool community and thriving and sharing and just growing and celebrating each other. So I'm so happy that I have you in my life, and I hope you get to have amazing the rest, the rest of the year, Christmas and Happy New Year. And I see Marisa is raising hand.
Anna, with the documentary film and just speaking about it, the Navajo Nation and myself were also speaking about hoping to get you down here to the Navajo Nation. We are going to work on it, and we want to invite you down to bring us the documentary film, kind of like what we wanted to do a couple years ago. We want to continue doing that, with the project and everything. So I will reach out to you again soon. With everything that you've been doing with the project and, finally getting it out on the YouTube and available to everybody, it's really important that we continue going, and we want to bring some more stories out. So we would love to have you on the Navajo Reservation. It was just brought up to me about last week. So I just thought I'd let you know what's going to happen in 2025. So we're looking forward to having you out this way again.
That's wonderful, wonderful, and especially today we're talking about thriving and all those quantum leap, amazing things. So it's amazing how things are coming to us easily. Thank you, Maurice. I will be in touch, and everyone watching on YouTube, thank you guys. Make sure to come for our upcoming episode 9 open panel in January. Bye, everyone. Thank you. Kisses.